Sorry, chat. You gotta disappear now. The music. Not loud enough, guys? Oh, here we go!
Hi, I'm Jonathan Rogers from Grinding Gear Games.
Oh shit.
And welcome to GGG Live. Today we're going to show you an exclusive reveal of what's coming next for Path of Exile 2.
Hey Demon,
Twitch
hey
drops are
Technomancer.
enabled on today's live stream, so you'll be able to claim your Sun Priest's Incineration rare finisher effect by following the instructions below.
A little
Now
louder.
with that out of the way, let's get started. It's time to give you a teaser of what's coming in Path of Exile 2, the Third Edict.
Karui! I have called you here to save our people. To save our way. Over the ages, we have known pain like no other. But we endured. And we became mighty. Now, outsiders dishonor our shores. And we have stood by, doing nothing. Hear my voice, ancestors! Show us your strength! Show us the true way!
Oh,
I understand.
oh!
Be still.
What's that?
I open your home.
Oh shit. Ooh!
The true Lakura Makoi will rise.
We're getting Act 4! 3 interlude acts. 35 new areas. Yeah, there's so many new zones. We're gonna hella new bosses. Sport gem overhaul. Big skill gem rework. We got sprinting? Apple Cat Run? Hmm? 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 That's so much stuff. Green League indeed. Please no stamina bar.
Now, as you can see, there's a lot going on, and we have a lot to reveal today. We'll start by going over Act 4, the next chapter in the Path of Exile 2 storyline. But that's
Okay.
not all. There's also 3 new interlude acts to get you to endgame, which means we're removing cruel difficulty too.
Oh.
After that, we'll be going through the massive changes to characters. I'm super excited to show you how I've overhauled the entire support gem system, added new skills, and
Well, I'm
yes,
blocking
there are
some
buffs.
stuff. I don't know where to put my camera,
Next,
guys.
we'll go over the Rise of the Abyssal, this season's exclusive league mechanic, and talk about the new rewards, crafting systems, areas, and bosses that it adds. After that, it's on to changes we're making to the endgame. Then it's time to talk about items, crafting, and oh yeah, trade. That's going to be a big one.
Buy
We'll then
items
go
when
over
sellers
our
are
new supporter
offline?
packs and finish up with a live Q&A
Guys.
session where Ziggy D will ask Path of
Guys.
Exile 2's game directors, myself and Mark, your questions from Twitch chat. And after that, at 4 p.m. Pacific, patch notes. They're not quite complete, but they should give you some nice details to chew on. We've got a lot to cover today, but first, another announcement. When the Third Edict launches on the 29th, we'll be having a free weekend for Path of Exile 2. That's right,
Free
Path of
weekend.
Exile 2 will be free for the first time without requiring an early access key. The free weekend will end on September the 1st, so you'll have plenty of time
Guys,
to
I
give the
keep
game a
blocking
try.
stuff with my camera. Help.
All right, let's get started with Act 4. The story continues from the end of Act 3, Doryani has agreed to help you find an ancient weapon that can be used against corruption, the instrument of the Third Edict.
Okay.
The weapon was broken in ages past, but he believes that the pieces may be found in the Karui archipelago, the home of the Karui tribes. You will need to journey to Kingsmarch, hire a ship, and set sail.
On a boat.
When you open the map, you can choose to sail anywhere you like. Act 4 is completely non-linear, and you can visit the islands in any order you choose.
Ooh.
Will you visit the pristine beaches of Whakapanu Island? The Karui whisper of a curse that afflicts all who travel there. Perhaps it's related to the weapon you seek. Or maybe you will visit the volcanic shores of the Isle of Kin. The Kin have been more restless recently, mining for sulfite and driven by some dark force.
Yeah.
Perhaps you will choose to consult with one of the local Karui tribes. Their ancient wisdom could hold clues to finding the Third Edict.
What?
No matter where you choose to go, you will fight dangerous beasts,
Hey, Mad Kisat.
find fabulous treasures,
Ooh. Oh, rattling scepter. Holy.
and battle incredible bosses.
A challenger! Come, Yama sees your soul!
There are 8 islands to discover, each teeming with its own flora and fauna. Act 4 contains over 100 new monster types, 16 new areas, 12 new bosses, and plenty of other interesting encounters.
Ooh.
There's a huge amount to show, but we're not going to spoil
Sexy
too much here.
mermaid siren.
We want to give you a chance to discover it all for yourself. What happens after Act 4?
Yeah.
Well, until now you had to repeat the entire campaign again before you could face the endgame. But after adding Act 4, the game is far too long to make you do that. We needed something else to do in between the end of Act 4 and the endgame. So what else could we do? Add 3 new mini-acts, of course, and we're calling them the Interludes. The Interludes are a set of 3 temporary side stories that will be included in the game until Act 5 is released, that will take you to level 65 where the endgame can begin.
Oh.
The first interlude sends you on a journey back to Ogham. Renly has been leading the efforts to rebuild Ogham Village after the defeat of Count Geonor. But there's a new danger afoot. The nearby town of Halton is surrounded by an impenetrable darkness, and each night their corrupted townfolk emerge to raid the local farmlands.
Ew.
You will discover new areas and new bosses.
Yalra, Blade of the Mist. Guys, I can't even
You'll
be
need to
like
find
fake
your way
hype.
through
I'm
the
actually
darkness,
hype. I'm so hype. Oh, they're using
Uncover
Wildwood
the source
stuff?
of corruption,
Soon you
That
will
looks like the
serve our
fucking boss
master.
from
and
Nier
defeat it.
Automata.
I shall dance.
If you know, you know.
And that's just the first interlude.
Bullet hell, boss.
The second interlude will have you return to the Vasteri Desert, where Asala has been given a sacred duty. When the skies align, the gifting of water requires a chosen Sekima to meet with the Selkari,
Oh, the Selkma.
guardians of the sacred water. But they're nowhere to be found. You will need to track down the Selkari. Find those responsible for disrupting the gifting. Fight even more new bosses. Discover the secrets of the ancient ritual. Discover new locations.
The one that looks like a freaking
And
lady
ultimately help Asala carry
in
out his
the
sacred
theme
duty.
park. You bish.
Now for Interlude 3. As Royal Thaumaturge of the Vaal, Doryani had plans within plans to save his people from the cataclysm perpetuated
Wait.
by Atzeri's lust for power. One such plan involved sealing a group of willing Vaal deep in a great mountain vault
Durrani
near
as
the home of
lanky
the
as
Esmeri,
Sagat, dude.
deep enough to survive the cataclysm. Even though thousands of years have passed, he believes that their descendants may still live, and may be key to defeating the beast. The journey up the mountain will be dangerous. New foes stand in your way. And the further up the mountain you venture, the colder it will become. Explore caves of ice and enter the vault itself. Who can say what you will find within? The interludes are 6 to 7 areas each and generally include 4 boss fights as well.
Oh,
When you put that together with Act 4, that adds up to 35 new areas in the campaign
Whoa.
and 24 new bosses.
whoa.
It's worth making clear that the interludes are temporary. When
Okay.
Act 5 and 6 are added, the interludes will be going away.
Okay.
These are side stories after all. But don't worry, the bosses and areas that make up the interlude are all part of the endgame. We're not just going to throw them away.
Oh, God.
And with that, we don't need cruel difficulty anymore.
Yippee!
We do know that it was a pretty big chore to have to play through the campaign multiple times on each character. And this was a huge reason that the campaign could feel like a bit of a slog when playing through again.
Dude, it's looking
but we do also have
so
another new
hype
feature
right
to
now.
address that particular concern as well. So let's talk about
sprinting.
In 030, when you hold down the dodge roll button, your character will go into a sprint after they finish the roll. This is available on all character classes, and there's no limitation on how long you can sprint.
No
for.
stamina bar.
The primary purpose of this feature is to make navigating areas faster when out of combat.
Let's fucking go.
Because of that, if you do take a hit while sprinting, you'll fall to the ground.
Oh shit. Get beat. Oh
the best
my
idea is
god.
to use a skill when you see monsters. That'll break you out of the sprint so you can engage with no danger. If you do need to run away from monsters, just hold spacebar. You won't be vulnerable during the roll, and you're faster while sprinting than basically any monster in the game, allowing you to retreat from combat. Sprint is a pretty significant change to PoE 2's gameplay. What I like most about it is that we can accelerate the pace of the game for those who want that, without having to compromise on PoE 2's more visceral combat systems.
Actually, Apple Cat Run, dude.
So that's the new extensions to the
Apple
campaign.
Cat Gun.
But there's a whole giant league to play through as well. I'll leave that to Mark to talk about later. And that's because what I want to talk about now is the new stuff for your characters. And probably one of the biggest new systems here is with the support gems. Now, support gems are one of the most interesting elements to creating a build. They're what enables so many interesting mechanics and different ways to play. But PoE 2's support gem system has just never been quite right. One of the major issues is the limitation of only having one support gem of each type on your character. We didn't want builds to just become using the same 5 most powerful supports in every skill. The problem with this design, though, is that it's actually working against using multiple skills in your build. If you can only use each support gem on one skill, it means that you're encouraged to go all in on that one ability. And we want to encourage you to combo your abilities. Something needed to change. So with that in mind, we've removed the restriction of having one of each support gem per character. You can now use as many copies as you like. This should drastically increase the amount of possible builds and increase the amount of skill diversity. There are a lot of potential builds that suffered from the previous restriction. For example, a poison build previously couldn't add poison to more than one skill. They couldn't use stacking poison on more than one skill either. This severely limited your ability to combo with anything outside of the specifically designed poison archetype, but now you can. Many utility skills previously couldn't scale to endgame, because the supports that would make them scale were more useful to use in other skills. You would never speed up killing Palm with martial tempo, when you would much rather use it on your primary skill instead. There are more examples like this all over the place. In addition to that, though, we thought there wasn't enough feeling of progression in the supports as you went through the game.
Oh?
There were only 3 tiers of supports,
Yeah.
and many of the most important ones were given out at Tier 1. Also, there were no strict upgrades, meaning that upgrading supports when you ran out of sockets required quite a lot of thinking. In order to solve these issues, we now also have multiple levels of many supports as you go through the game.
Oh.
For example, double barrel support gives you an extra bolt, but at the cost of 30% less reload speed. At Tier 2, the penalty gets lowered to 20%. But then at Tier 3, the support gem gets something new. It now reloads automatically when you heavy stun an enemy. In some cases, the highest tiers might work a little differently, and you'll have to decide if you like the upgrade or not, depending on your build. For example, rapid casting. The first couple of levels gives 15, then 20% increased cast speed. But then at Tier 3, it changes to a new
Guys,
approach.
this shit actually
For each
is
different
hype.
spell you
I
cast
don't know,
in the last
dude.
8 seconds, you get 10% increased cast speed, which could
This is
be a
like
pretty
crazy
big bonus
amount
if
of
you use a
changes.
lot of different
We're
spells.
not even all the way through.
So that's pretty good for upgrades through the campaign. But we wanted to add a little more spice to the endgame for supports too. And that's where our new system, lineage supports, comes in. You can think of these like unique items, but for supports. There are supports that are only available at endgame, but they're much more powerful. Like Ratha's Assault. It's an upgraded version of Double Barrel that reloads your skill as you dodge roll, as well as increasing the number of bolts it can hold. But it does mean that it's the only way you can reload the skill now. Now, unlike regular supports, you can't find these through the uncut support gem. Just like unique items, many of these can be found from specific bosses. And there's a ton in the regular drop pool too.
Seriously, right, guys?
Some of them are fairly rare,
+1 to support skill
others
gems.
fairly common.
Arjun.
Some of them are build defining. Others are just straight up power upgrades.
Inverted.
All in all, there's around 40 lineage supports
Doesn't
being
it look
added
so
throughout the
cool
endgame.
too?
So
Holy
there's a
shit.
lot of power to find out there.
I really
Now,
love the art
the new
direction in
support gems are
PoE
certainly going to
2.
open up a lot of builds, but of course we have a huge range of improvements to individual character classes as well. As well as adding new skills, we had a big focus on buffing
Seriously?
existing skills so that they can scale well into the endgame. There's a huge amount to cover here, so we're not going to discuss everything. We're just going to quick fire through some of the coolest changes.
Yeah, the art is like crazy.
We wanted to make
good.
cold a more useful element on the Ranger, so we've expanded the cold tools available. As well as increasing its range, Escape Shot now creates fragments of ice whenever it hits the ground.
Ooh.
These fragments explode after a short time, making the skill
Ooh.
better for killing groups of enemies. But not only that, we added an ice fragment support that creates more of them when killing frozen enemies. And a new buff skill called Ice-Tipped Arrows that allows all
This
your arrows to create
crazy?
ice fragments.
Yeah.
This already gives clear to rangers wanting to use ice. But to take further advantage of the ice fragments, Freezing Salvo has been upgraded to shoot additional cold arrows towards every fragment, giving you a nuke-like ability.
Ooh.
We've also modified Snipe to consume frozen from enemies, dealing a huge amount more damage, giving you a nice ice single target option. And something you might notice about this is that the bonus is a lot higher against bosses. This is actually a change you'll see throughout the entire game. Since it's a lot harder to freeze a boss, you should get a bigger reward for it. Another theme you'll see throughout the game is making movement feel better. Toxic Growth is a skill that was pretty cool, but a bit annoying to use with the jump that it had.
Yeah.
Now Toxic Growth is a range skill, so you can spam it more easily. And we've also added a new poison skill while we were at it, called Toxic Domain. It creates a small area around you that makes all your attacks create toxic growth pustules, but attached to monsters.
It's disgusting, but
Another
awesome.
skill that was annoying to use was Electrocuting Arrow. It's now just a regular arrow, making it easier to use. But it also means you can support it with projectile supports. And it now also has Area of Effect, making it a tool for more than just single target, and allowing it to scale into the endgame. We also added a new spirit reservation called Mirage Archer. This is a meta skill that allows you to create shadowy clones of yourself to use a skill of your choice. Of course, one of the other big problems the Ranger had was survivability. Evasion was the weakest of the three defenses, and we wanted to change that. Currently, evasion doesn't evade all types of hits in the game, so you're still vulnerable to things like slams or unblockable attacks.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
To make evasion characters more tanky, we're adding a new mechanic called Deflect. Unlike evasion, Deflect works on everything, and if you successfully deflect a hit, you take 40% less damage. Items can now give you a mod that gives you some amount of deflection based on your evasion. And there's a bunch of it available on the passive tree too.
Ooh.
Deflection is rolled in addition to evasion, so this is an upgrade for regular hits too. And unlike evasion, there's no maximum chance. You can reach 100% deflect against all hits if you spec into it enough. Of course, this is a buff that helps all Dex characters, so the Mercenary and the Monk, but especially the Huntress, are seeing big defense boosts from this as well.
It might be
Speaking of
bullying
defensive
for me.
mechanics, let's talk about block and parry. Now, one of the big concerns on the release of the Huntress was parry feeling unreliable. One of the big reasons for this is there's a lot of hits that are not blockable, and thus not parryable either. So a huge balance change we're making is that now everything is blockable, except for specifically unblockable red flash skills that bosses use. This makes parry much more reliable. And not only that, but to make block and parry nicer to use, you now also move faster than before while using these abilities.
Hell yeah.
This is a massive buff to passive block as well. So to counter that, we did have to lower the max passive block a bit, but overall you should feel much safer.
Yeah, block is crazy
Fire
in
skills
this.
on the warrior were not really cutting the mustard, so we decided we needed to upgrade a bunch of them, but also add some more as well. Let's start with a buff. Volcanic Fissure now branches into multiple
does
fissures,
evasion run
giving
off
it
the
much more
entropy
clearing
system
potential.
in PoE 2?
We've also added a new skill called Forge Hammer. This skill throws a molten hammer that does a slam at a distance. You can recall the hammer back by using the skill again if you like.
Doesn't seem like it
but
does.
the cooler thing
If
to do
there's
is to
things
use a
that you
war cry
technically
now.
can't block.
Using a war cry makes the hammer explode,
evade.
making a bunch of volcanic fissures around. Volcanic fissures re-trigger when you slam them, so it's a great skill to make a flaming arena to fight a boss.
That looks cool.
We also buffed Perfect Strike to have a much larger area of effect, and changed Molten Blast to not always force you to move forward. Trust me, it feels a lot better to use now. The skill now has massively boosted chance to ignite monsters as well. And you're going to want to ignite monsters due to a new glory skill called Ancestral Cry. Ancestral Cry charges up
Look,
with
I'd
glory
rather
by
look for
igniting monsters
fucking
and
whatever the
invoking
fuck
King
they said.
Calm's favor.
Deflect than
After you do,
light radius,
use it to
alright?
channel Calm's ancestral power. Every attack will be ancestrally
Holy,
boosted
the
with fire.
fire!
Your very steps will explode, triggering volcanic fissures, and molten balls will erupt from your attacks. Warrior shield skills were another area we wanted to improve. Now that we've got Sprint, we actually don't need to have a cooldown on shield charge anymore. And now also does more damage the further away you are when you use it. Shield Wall got significantly upgraded AoE. Also, you can shield charge right through it to trigger all the walls. We also added a new shield war cry. Fortifying Cry gives you a defensive buff, but it also builds up charge on your shield that empowers your other shield skills. And Magma Barrier now doesn't require timing in order to use. Just wait for your shield to charge up and block. Seismic Cry now stuns enemies that are primed for stun. And we changed the Sunder interaction with Armor Break.
I don't even like
It now
playing
also
melee,
gives a
but
Sundered
melee
Armor
stays
debuff that
winning
makes
in
enemies
PvE
take
too, I
40%
feel
extra
like.
physical damage. Great for bosses. Ancestral Warrior Totem's undergone some pretty significant changes too. We wanted the skill to feel more like using an ultimate. That summoning an ancestor to fight for you was a big deal. So we've changed this totem to require 3 endurance charges to summon, and massively buffed its damage. It also now scales your weapon damage too.
Oh, that looks crazy. That looks
Since
like...
there's no limit anymore,
where are my
if you build
frames?
around
That's
generating
what it looks
endurance
like to me.
charges, you can summon an entire forest of totems. In order to make that easier, we added some new sources of endurance charges. There's now a support to make Perfect Strike generate charges, and a support for generating endurance charges from heavy stuns as well. Speaking of totems, we wanted to upgrade the Warbringer. Among the other changes we've made to this class, Answered Call now gives
For
an extra
sure.
totem, and the spirits have just been generally buffed in many ways. Use it with your limitless ancestral warrior forest to make an army of Karui that would make Tukahama proud. We've also merged the Great Wolf Howl and Warcaller's Bellow support, so that you can get all the benefits with 1 point.
Oh,
And Encased in Jade no longer removes the Jade when getting hit, making it a much better defense.
oh,
Next up, let's talk about accuracy. Accuracy was always intended to be something that warriors didn't need to care about very much so long as they're in close combat. But unfortunately, that's not currently the case. This was particularly annoying with skills like Bone Shatter, which you certainly don't want to mess with. So we significantly buffed your chance to hit at close ranges when you don't have much accuracy. Warriors shouldn't require any accuracy investment in order to hit with close range attacks now. We also wanted to improve armor. Now, one of the major weaknesses of armor is the inability to defend against elemental damage.
sorry, you guys
In order
can't
to
see it.
mitigate this, we're adding a lot more of the stat that allows your armor to defend against elemental damage. It's now available on items and in a lot more places on the passive tree. One of the most important improvements we've made in 030 is to declunk the action and flow of shooting crossbows. You can now reload crossbows without any movement penalty.
Oh,
But not only that, all skills that can be used while moving now slow you for a shorter amount of time. This change benefits everyone, not just crossbow skills. With both of these changes put together, the run and gun playstyle feels much better. It's hard to explain how important this change is for the feel of the class. The Mercenary is also a good chance to talk about how we're rebalancing to make comboing skills much better. Take Shock, for example. It buffs damage and lasts 4 seconds right now, but that isn't really giving you enough time to take advantage of it. If you're going to add a lightning skill into a build that otherwise wouldn't use one, we need to make mechanics like this much better. So we've increased shock duration on monsters to last 8 seconds,
oh,
and skills like Plasma Blast, which are intended to be good at shocking enemies, now increase the damage bonus by a lot more. You'll find changes like this all around the game. Chill now lasts 8 seconds, giving you more of a reason to weave
I
in
like
cold
that.
damage. Freezing skills are better at freezing.
good,
Burning skills need to cause burns that last longer.
good.
But making skills like Permafrost Bolts and Incendiary Shot double down on how they're supposed to be used, it makes using them in your build alongside other skills much more likely. We're also making sure to buff specific combos too. The freeze explosions from frag rounds now chain to nearby enemies. And using high velocity rounds with Armor Break will now fragment the opponent's armor. This causes monsters to take a portion of high velocity rounds damage with every subsequent hit, even tiny pellets. So that means following it with a shotgun blast is way more effective. Now there's a lot more buffs to crossbow skills, but for now I'm just going to talk about the new one we added, the Mortar Cannon. This one lets you socket any grenade skill, and using it will summon a cannon which loads and then fires the grenade you choose. Another issue on the Mercenary were
I wonder how
banners.
much they changed
They
the
were just not
passage
very
tree.
good, so we're doing a big upgrade to them. They now last longer, don't disappear when moving out of them, and we removed the Valor mechanic. They now just give a much more consistent and stronger buff, and you can use them when
I
you
like
get
playing
enough glory.
cold builds too. Cold is just so
On
strong.
which one of the main focuses was making various minion types more useful to use together. Melee minions in particular were just not that great compared to
Yeah.
ranged ones.
They were fucking
As a
bad.
starting point, we just straight up removed the requirement for minions to have accuracy.
Good. Fucking
Attack
good.
minions now always hit, which makes them way better. Brutes got some good numeric buffs,
just love
but we
slowing
also
stuff
added
down.
a new
There's always
command
like
skill where
100
they do a war
monsters
cry
that are, like,
intimidates enemies
running at
and
you.
detonates
I'd
any
rather them
frozen
be
monsters and
frozen.
allies around you in a
And
big cold
I
explode.
fucking love when you freeze something that's charging you.
We've also
But
changed the
it's
Frost
just
Mage's command skill to an ability that adds ice armor to
so
your other
funny.
minions, adding a layer of defense.
Freeze them mid
And it
jump.
makes them deal cold damage back to the attacker as well. The ice armor also makes the minion count as frozen, so the Brute's Warcry can detonate them too. Unearth was changed to work on corpses of your dead skeletons, allowing you to summon the minions more easily in boss fights.
Yeah.
And they also got a new jump ability, allowing them to get into combat faster. Ray's Spectre was also feeling pretty weak for the spirit cost they have. To be honest, we were a little afraid of these when we first balanced them. We've both decreased the spirit cost for a large range of monsters, and have significantly increased Spectre damage too. They should feel a lot more impactful.
There were some like really interesting specters, so
There's also a lot of new spellcaster weapons with newer cult skills. But I'll just talk about one of them that I thought was particularly cool. The Reaping Staff is actually a wicked scythe that gives you a new ability called Reap. When an enemy is low in life, you can dash forward and rake enemies with the scythe to cull them instantly, healing you. It can also inflict critical weakness on enemies too.
oh,
Now, there's a lot of balance changes in the Witcher's Ascendancy classes, but I'll just talk about two of them for now.
okay.
On the Blood Mage, you were previously required to spend your first points on Sangomancy, which really was supposed to be the downside for being able to access the powerful abilities on the rest of the class. In order to make picking the Blood Mage a better early option, we've made Sangomancy free, unlocking the power of the rest of the class immediately.
Whoa.
On the Infernalist, the Demon form wasn't something people were really using because you lost your weapon stats while transformed. Well, you no longer do,
Oh.
so it's a much better option now. On the Monk, the wind skills needed a big upgrade for sure. Staggering Palm can now stack up its duration if you use the skill multiple times in a row, so you can keep the effect of all your skills throwing up wind much more easily.
You don't want Blood Mage to be good so bad.
Wind Blast had the purpose of building up to dazing an enemy, but dazing just wasn't worth all that effort. Now it just dazes on hit, meaning a single Wind Blast will make all your skills stun enemies more easily. Following up with Vaulting Impact on a dazed enemy previously did a bunch of stun. Now it allows you to break your enemy's stance. When their stance is broken,
Honestly, I
following
don't.
up
I
with a
want it
fast
to like
attack
not
will do
feel
way
like
more
shit
damage.
to level a witch, because it does.
A cool build that certain people always enjoyed in PoE 1 was hand-to-hand combat, but until
Hey,
now we
Robox.
just didn't have a real way to make it viable. Well, that changes now. The Monk, as a true martial artist, now has the ability to learn the Hollow Palm technique, a keystone that lets you use all quarterstaff skills while unarmed.
What?
All quarterstaff attacks now have a special unarmed version, and you get further bonuses to all your attacks from stacking Energy Shield and Evasion on your character. A new keystone we also added to the Monk section of the tree is Walker of the Wilds. This changes Mana Leech to work with elemental damage instead of physical, which is pretty useful for all those elemental attacks the Monk
Mana
has,
Leech?
but it works well for the Ranger too.
Oh my goodness. Dude,
Now, one
I
of the least
actually
used
might play more
ascendancy
than one
classes in the game
build.
is the Acolyte of Chayula, so we knew we needed to make some changes here. One of the key things we had to do was make the chaos damage that the Acolyte can do much more useful. So we've added a new skill, allowing chaos damage to ignite, shock, chill, and freeze, embracing the elemental prowess of the Monk in a truly chaotic fashion. In addition, he can make all of his chaos damage leech. And we've buffed Into the Breach and Embrace the Darkness by moving the effects of the 4-point nodes into the base skills. He also gains a new notable, Grasp of the Void, which leaves void illusions behind you as you dodge roll. If they're killed, they do massive explosions of darkness, dealing damage to everything in sight. Now let's talk about Sorceress skills.
Okay.
One of the
Yeah, let's
things
talk
we
about
wanted
it.
to improve on the Sorc is the ability to use multiple elements together more effectively. Now, This might seem small, but one of the things pushing you towards using a single element is debuffs like elemental curses, which lower resistances of a single element. In order to fix that, we're making quite a lot of game-wide changes to these kinds of mechanics to broaden what they apply to. So for example, there's no longer 3 curses for fire, ice, and lightning.
Oh.
Instead, there's just a single curse that buffs all 3 at
Ally
the same
weakness,
time.
let's go!
And things like Frostbomb, which gave you cold exposure, now give elemental exposure.
Okay.
You can use it to buff any of your other skills. We also wanted to make switching between different weapon sets smoother, so you can use different elemental staves more effectively. To do that, we've removed the weapon switch time. And now it
Okay.
happens instantly. This applies game-wide too. Now, we didn't just want to stop there. We wanted to add some specific mechanics that work between different elements, and that's where elemental infusions come in. Certain skills can now drop elemental infusions. For example, when a frostbomb explodes, it leaves behind a cold infusion on the ground.
Okay.
After picking it up, you can spend it on one of any number of different skills to transform how they work. Spark will create a nova of cold-infused projectiles. Ice Nova will leave a chilled area on the ground. And we also added a new low-level skill that fires ice shards. Use it with cold infusion though, and the ice shards will explode. Orb of Storms now generates lightning infusions when you cast enough spells near it. And that's all spells, by the way, not just lightning. Once you have one, you could cast a lightning flame wall, which adds both fire and lightning damage to all the projectiles that pass through it. Or power up Ember Fusillade with lightning, which will generate arcs to nearby enemies as each fireball hits. Or maybe go lightning on lightning with arc. This skill is now a projectile, and by infusing it, you can go full Palpatine.
Kaboom!
Get fire infusions by blowing up monsters with Living Bomb. Then use them with Comet to summon a giant fire meteor from the sky. Or use it with Firestorm, which transforms it from a small area into a much bigger one. Firestorm is unique in that it can be infused by multiple different elements at the same time. Add an ice infusion to rain down ice at the same time as the fire. And add lightning to add deadly strikes from the heavens into the mix. Or use it with all 3 to generate a storm that is truly apocalyptic. Cold Snap has been simply turned into Snap. Previously, you could use it to shatter ice, but now it works to detonate all of the different elemental ailments, and makes them leave behind infusions. And just like how you could previously use it on Frostbolt, you can now also use it on Orb of Storms and Solar Orb to detonate those as well, which means you can create many infusions at once. We also have a Spirit Reservation skill, and a support gem to help generate them too. On the passive tree, we've added quite a few new keystones to the Sorceress section. Here are a couple of examples.
Okay.
The Black Flame Covenant keystone converts your fire spells to chaos
Okay.
and causes your ignites to deal chaos damage. Your fire spells and ignites will also turn purple. The Ritual Cadence keystone causes your invocation skills to trigger more times. It makes them trigger periodically over a longer duration instead of one. Great for those auto bomber builds.
I want Sorceress to be Pog.
Now, in addition to skill changes, we've added a lot more options for the passive tree for each class. Overall, there are more than 100 new notables on the tree,
Holy.
usually around 20 per class, along with
Okay.
smaller clusters as well.
Alright, but what about all the
Check
travel
out the
nodes,
old
dude?
version. And here's the new
Oh,
version. It's a lot
so
more
many
dense,
more
and there's more interesting nodes than before.
Things.
Now, we probably can't go through too many of these in the live stream, so I'll just show you one from each class's area of the tree. We tried to be a lot more thematic with the new nodes. So for
Okay.
example, the Molten One's Gift. It lets the benefit of Armor Break apply to your fire damage. Or how about Last Stand, which gives you lots of stats as your situation becomes more and more desperate. A lot of these have themes aligning with Ascendancy classes. Like for the Gemling Legionnaire, for example. You have crystallized immunities, which makes you immune to different status ailments,
That's
depending on
pretty
which
cool.
support gem color you have socketed the most. Another Ascendancy class aligned notable is Sanguimatic Rituals. It allows arcane surges to generate life instead of mana, unlocking that support gem to be used with the Blood Mage Ascendancy. In the Sork area, you'll find these Archon nodes that allow you to convert all of your elemental damage to a specific element. You become a Lightning Archon when you spend enough mana, after which all your skills will be converted to
No,
lightning.
but there's gonna be a
and you
free
will do
weekend
extra
next
lightning damage
weekend
as
when
well.
it launches, so
We have ones for cold and
play
fire
then,
too,
eyes.
with different triggers. Here's another cool one, Elemental Practitioner gives crit bonuses if you've triggered
Yeah,
a skill
I think at the
recently,
very least,
while
it looks
also
like the
making crits
community
generate more
team and
energy for
them actually
triggers.
communicate about what the community
Or maybe
wants.
you'd like the Great Boar.
know.
It gives you a reason
There's
to
still
stack
plenty of fucking
dexterity to
travel,
make you
man.
tougher, giving a bonus to life and stun
You'll
threshold.
be fine.
Or the Cunning Fox. It straight up gives you 5% quality to all your gems.
I feel like they put something pog and
Now,
then
another
Steel
major
is just
change is
like
attribute requirements. We felt like players probably had a
drowning
few
in
too many
haterade.
nodes and attributes, and not enough in interesting passives. So we lowered attribute requirements by 25% across the board. That means you'll have more points to spend on interesting notables rather than just needing to allocate more strength, dex, and int. Now, there are way more changes than just these. These are just some of the cooler ones we wanted to show off. But I'd say that's just about enough for now. We're not even half done yet.